Thank you all for hanging out. All right, Dr. Adebo, please introduce yourself. Who are you? What you do, so we can get right on to it.
I know, my goodness. Thank you so much, Dr. Tolu, for having me and for your patience. Technology is our friend, but sometimes it does malfunction. It happens all the time. And I appreciate your patience, Dr. Tolu. This is a great example of staying, calm and centered when things don't go wrong, when things go wrong, right? It's something we got to teach our children not to fall apart, which kind of goes with our topic today about resilience in the face of challenges and confidence, right? So I digressed a little bit. My name is Adebo. I am a pediatrician. I am the owner of my practice, Sugarlandpediatrics. I am also a certified life coach. I am passionate about parenting and marriage. And so I focus my coaching more on that aspect. So I coach my patients in my practice sometimes, and outside too.
I like it. Now, we're talking resilient and confidence. Doc, what does that mean? Are we trying to make our children tough from the exterior and hard? Like, what does that mean?
That's a good point. So resilience and confidence means that our children are going to be assertive, right? They can express themselves without feeling shyness or not like being afraid, right? They are going to be assertive. Confidence also means self-acceptance and self-belief. So that means that they can believe in themselves, they accept themselves who they are, and they're willing to take risk. That's kind of, in short, the definition of confidence. When it comes to resilience, it's a little bit different. It means they're able to regulate their emotion. They can persevere in the face of setbacks. They can problem solve when they encounter problems, like we just did today. When we live in this world, there's going to be always ups and downs, right? Challenges are part of life, but in the face of setbacks and challenges, staying calm and centered and focusing on the solution and not the problem, right? Problem solving, being adaptable to situations. Those are all some definitions of resilience and confidence.
I like it. So what do we do? And I feel like sometimes there's a cultural dynamic also, because you're saying being able to express yourself, not being able to, not shy. I think different cultures, different upbringing. I grew up where you don't look people in the eye, you don't assert yourself, you just you're a child, so you don't have a voice. So let's talk why is this important for us to shift regardless of background, especially living where we're at. Why is it important for us to shift even in our backgrounds to foster this self-confidence and resilience? Why is it important, Doc?
Yeah, it's really, really important in everything we do. If you are not able to be assertive and express yourself, if you are not self-reliant and you don't believe in yourself, you don't accept yourself, the world we live in is not a friendly world, right? It can be friendly sometimes, but you can have challenges, and so unless you're going to be your biggest cheerleader and advocate, and so that's really, really important. So I grew up in Africa too, Dr. Tolu. Where as a child you're supposed to be quiet, you're not supposed to speak that much, right? There's a lot of love and community in Africa. The whole village is almost your parents, and so there's a lot of love, there's a lot of support. However, when adults are talking, you're supposed to listen more. And one of the main problem actually I see in developing countries, such as in Africa, is that younger children, we don't think that they do hear us, especially babies, and until they start talking, we don't think they do hear us. And so there may not be intentional nurturing and talking to your baby. That's really, really important. Everything starts from the womb, right? Confidence, resilience, self-acceptance, all of those stuff does start early on. And we know that research has shown that babies do listen even when they're in the womb. And so it's very, very important to start nurturing that relationship, start talking to our babies even when they are in the womb, in a way that's affirming. And so parents are going to be the biggest cheerleader of their children. And the relationship we have with our parents starts from the womb. And so talking to your baby in a positive, nurturing way that's affirming can start early on in the womb. And then it continues, of course, and that's going to help them develop the self-confidence and the resilience required to handle challenges, right, that they may face in life.
Dr. Adebo, so one thing you really harped on right now is the importance of our words. We don't speak enough. We tend to speak only when they misbehave. So now that we know what you're saying is it starts from the womb. So talking to your baby in the womb, talking to your infant, talking to your toddler, talking to your child, and being intentional about affirming them with your words. Can you give examples? Because some of us struggle, not us, because I've learned with I love you. Beautiful. Like, give us examples, like, even for the men watching, we're like, well, they know I love him.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. So I like affirming and praising the process and the efforts. So, our children are learning. They're gonna mess up things sometimes. And so when they do, instead of focusing on the outcome, just focusing on the process, right? And just being patient. It's not easy. And so, like you said, I love you. You are a good boy, you're a good girl, you're beautiful. It's very important. But also when they are trying to do something and they don't do it quite well, because they are learning, staying calm and affirming the process and their effort, right? Not the outcome, not focusing on the outcome, but focusing on the process and the effort they put will help them learn that, things do require effort. I can do it. And so, like, you did it wrong, instead of saying that, okay, how else can you correct that? What else can you do? And not doing everything for them, having them figure out things, right? But just being the supporting hand that's there, that supports them, knowing that they are in the process of learning. They haven't figured things out yet. We know that they're learning to walk, they're learning to talk, right? And just like that, other things that they need to do, they are in the process of learning. And sometimes they may taste us, right? They may do things that taste us.
They may. They will.
They will, absolutely. Yes. They will taste you to see where is your limits. And so I think balancing setting limits in parenting and also showing grace and this unconditional love, right? Our love for them has to be unconditional, despite what they are doing. And so separating their behavior from them, right? So you may not agree with what they are doing, let's say if they're misbehaving, but just separate that behavior and just tell them that that's not okay, that's not a good thing, and maybe show them the consequence of doing that, but still loving them unconditionally even during a misbehavior.
Dr. Adebo, I want to pause and ask a question. You said earlier, praising them, and you're good boy. For the parent who's watching, who's like, well, wouldn't that make them cocky and proud, and like, oh, they always wait to hear that. What do you say to that, Doc?
Right. So that's a very good question, Dr. Tolu. So not empty praise, but praising when you catch them do something good, praising how they did it, the process of doing that, the effort that went through, will help them be less proud later in life, if that makes sense. But a sense of affirmation, let's say if you find them say, oh, I can't do this, it's hard, and just reframing that, how can you learn to do that? What are the things you can do, right? I'm here to support you, not answering all the questions and the challenges for them, not doing everything for them, but just being this parent who is there patiently guiding them and leading them. A balance of affirming the process and affirming them as a human being for who they are, if that makes sense, right? And so you're right, you don't want to just throw out empty praises. You want to watch them do something good and praise the effort and the process, even when they fail, reframing failure, that it's a process, that it's a learning, if that makes sense. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Powerfully. Yes, you did. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. And so the other thing is failure. In society, we are taught to avoid failure at all costs and things like that, right? But but normalizing trial and error and failure, something comes to mind as we talk about failure and affirming the process and stuff. Sarah Blakely, you may know her. She was the owner of a multi-million-dollar business, and she sold her business for multi-million-dollar, right? Her dad used to ask them, what did you fail at today? Every day after school. And so it made it natural and normal to fail. This world is growth-centric world. It's not comfort-centric. As human beings, we may seek comfort usually, right? But you're not going to stay comfortable. If you are comfortable for a little bit, something is going to come, right, to disturb that comfort, because we live in a growth-centric world. And so installing growth mindset in our children would mean it's okay to try and fail. You learn from that process. You learn how to not to do that, right? And so it just gets them out of the comfort zone and trying to do greater things. In the example of Sarah Blakely, she failed so many times, but eventually, she ran a multi-billion-dollar business, and she sold her business that much. And that had an impact in her trying and not giving up and pushing through when she is faced with challenges and trials, right?
Wow. Well, thank you so much. I'm really pained that we started late, but we're gonna extend the time a little bit. I'm gonna have you come on again, because this is powerful. And my next question to you is for the parent who's watching. You know how, we have this talk it out cards that we do with the kids. And in one of the conversations, the feedback one of my children gave me was that sometimes when you guys talk about your past, like how you walked 100 miles to school, or how you didn't have lunch in school, or how you didn't have money, and you make it seem like what we're going through is nothing compared to what you guys went through. um you know I we always argue that we feel the kids have it easier these days than we did. How do we balance that conversation where we're trying to say, life is tough, it's life, but there's still beautiful things in life. But we did way more than you did, without making them feel inferior.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Very good point. Yes. I see that in my practice too all the time, and in families too, my own family, sometimes I see it where, you are entitled, you have it easy, you didn't pay, that much price, and kind of talking to them down. There's that tendency. But the thing is, they have their own challenges. Even if they have a different form of challenges, they still do have. And so it's important to share with them what your life path has been, the challenges you passed through, and kind of linking that to how strong it has made you, right? Every challenge we went through makes us stronger and stronger, right? And so, not like making it like you are the victim, if that makes sense. All of the things, everything in life that happens for you and not to you, right? And so all those challenges has made you this resilient, strong parent, right? And you may expect that from your children, who had it easier for the most part. What comes to mind is that when me and my husband had a meeting, and we flew out of town, and my parents were here visiting at that point, and they took our kids to walk to the mall, and they were really, really young at that time, like maybe 5, 6, 7, that age. And so they didn't have car because they were here visiting. And so they took them to the mall, which is about 10 minutes walk. And they were just so tired on the way. And what our kids say was that we only walk from the garage to home.
Oh my
So things are easy in this country, as opposed to, Africa and other developing countries that we may have grown. But that's their current life, and that's okay, right? Accept it as it is. But you don't want to teach them entitlement, teach them that things are going to be always smooth and easy. Still, you can challenge them with things. For example, when they're doing homeworks, instead of giving them all the answers, have them research and find the answers, right? The other thing you can do is when you are cooking, or when you are shopping, when you are cleaning, doing things in the house, involve them through all of that too. That will help them experience the challenge and develop resilience and strengths that way, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does.
I see that a lot, even in workplace and things. The new generation is a little entitled, doesn't want to pay price and all of that. But you can change that by, challenging them a little bit. And they can have their own challenge, even if it's not like walking 30 minutes to school, or walking an hour to school, right?
You raise a very important point. With the new generation, we can't distance ourselves from them.
Mm-hmm.
doesn't help. It doesn't help with the transfer of wisdom. It doesn't help with the transfer of intellectual wealth and other things. It doesn't help. So to bridge our gap, we raise our expectations some, and they step up to it, and then we raise it some, and then we raise it some. And I like how you mentioned that, your child, and I think I read a book about this. It talked about your child's issues, like going to school struggles, is like a mountain to them. It's a big deal to them. So don't trivialize it in your conversation. You can tell them that's part of life, encourage them and teach them how to deal with it, but don't poo-poo it, because that's their own. When you do that, you shut them down. They can't talk to you. So sometimes, as silly as, someone says something, I'm like, and like if someone said to you that you're white, you would laugh. So if someone said you're stupid or you're ugly, you'd laugh too, because you're beautiful, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. So that's end of conversation. But it's a recurring thought. That's a big deal. Don't poo-poo it. Get to the root cause. Talk about it. So I like that you said it's their challenge. So we got to address it, and not but teach them how to address the adversity.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree.
I have a question. What are some ways to handle situations when a child experiences bullying or rejection? What are tips, Doc?
Right. No, that's a very good point and a very good question. So when they experience rejection and bullying at school, we got to walk the walk with them, and explain to them that doesn't define who they are, right? And that it's okay, if that makes sense, right? So a bully will bully you when they see that they can, if that makes sense, right? But if you are confident and stronger in who you are, and do not allow them, whatever they say, make an impact in you, then it won't, if that makes sense, right? Do not let it in. Just support them. That doesn't define who they are. To speak up, that's the other thing. Speak up confidently that no, this is not right. This is not me. Instead of doing it all for themselves, have them handle it in a way that makes them confident, if that makes sense, to speak up, to face it. And if the bully sees that you are strong, that they cannot do the damage they want to create, and you don't give them that emotional reaction, then they're going to stop, if that makes sense.
So we got to coach our children. We got to support them. We got to walk the walk with them. Sometimes that means meeting with the teachers and the parents of the child. So, but we address it. We coach our children too, because if it's not this one, it's going to be another one. Potentially teaching them who they are and how not to give that power to them. But we walk the walk with them. That's important. I wanted to highlight that. Last question before we wrap up: what are things parents should avoid doing to prevent unintentionally damaging their child's self-esteem? Because I believe as parents here, we want what's best for our kids. We may not have gotten that as children. Mistakes from our parents, other things, but what are things that we should avoid doing to prevent unintentionally damaging our children's self-esteem? You have three for us before we wrap up.
Yes. Okay, absolutely. So sometimes when they make mistake and we say, oh, you are dumb, especially in Africa, if you've seen people may say things that unintentionally, without knowing the consequence of the words we say to them, the impact it may have in their future. We may say things that are harmful, that reflect that they're not okay as a person, when they do something wrong. And, it's normal to feel the emotion of whether it's anger or frustration. But if you lash out with that anger and frustration, you may see things that you would regret later on. Anything that is identity, that defines identities, such as you are dumb or you are not good enough, anything that will make them think they don't have what it takes, they're not good enough, or they're not smart enough. You want to avoid that, right? Just separate their identity from their action, right? Because we are human beings. We, even as adults, we make mistakes, right? So extending that grace and just teaching them they're here to learn, they don't know a lot of things, and like we talked about, they may taste you at times, to see how you would react. Say that, limit always, but make it in a way that doesn't define their identity in a negative way. Anything negative that identifies with their identity you want to avoid, especially children under the age of 7. Anything you say to them, they're gonna take it to heart, right? They're gonna think, they're subconscious, for the most part. So anything you tell them, that's gonna be who they think they are, right? So even if it's a teacher or a school friend or anybody in the family, if they say anything that's identity shaping, such as you're not smart, you're not beautiful, you're not good, whatever it is, they think that's their identity and they grow up with it. And so being really, really intentional, especially under the age of 7, with what we say is very, very important, right? We may feel emotional sometimes, walk away before you say anything and just take a deep breath, wash your face or do something, recollect and come back and guide them and lead them to the right direction, and not react or lash out, if that makes sense.
Yes. And I'm going to share one that I think is also very good because it was a lesson for me. Learn the art of saying I'm sorry. Oh, man, those 2 words are powerful. I mean it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So so it's a relationship, right? Parenting, marriage, we're in a relationship, and we're human beings, we are imperfect. Sometimes you can be emotional and you may damage the relationship a little bit, but make a repair always at the end, come back. That's very powerful, Dr. Tolu. I agree. Come back and say, oh, I'm so sorry that I'd say this, and just repair, right? So just having that conversation from early on, until they are, if you start that relationship with your child early on, that connection, that relationship, earlier and earlier, right? It's gonna have an impact in your parent-child relationship as they grow up older.
Yes. So as we wrap up, Doc, I have parents who are watching who are like, man, I wish I watched this when my kids were 7 or 6 or 5. They're older now. Any words of encouragement for that parent who's like, they're still under my care, but I feel like, their confidence and resilience, and any words of encouragement for that parent who is watching, who wants to still try?
Right. So let me reframe to make sure I understand it well. So for a parent that's watching whose child may be older than 7,
yeah,
right?
Who's older and wish they watched this video when their kids were younger, and
yes,
and wish they can go back in time but cannot, but want to still make an effort. Any words of encouragement as we wrap up?
Yeah, absolutely. So a good point. It's never too late. It's never too late. You can start now. You can start repairing your relationship with your child. And if you have seen that they struggle in self-confidence, for example, you can start boosting their confidence now. Find them, do something good and tell them, I like how you did this. Always focusing on the process, not just the outcome, if that makes sense. And so it's never too late. And when you find them have a negative self-talk, catch that and tell them, no, that's really not true, And if you can identify a time when somebody may have said negative things to them that may have been impacting their self-esteem, you can talk about this. Somebody may have said this, or a school friends may have said that you're not beautiful when you were younger, but that's really not true. You are really truly beautiful, right? And so it's never too late when it comes to resilience, to having them solve problems, face challenges, overcome them, and just share the process with them. You see how you did this? That's so nice. That was so good. Yeah, it's never too late. You can start now. Dr. Tolu said, and I was seeing earlier who wrote that separate their identity from their action. Yes. So love them unconditionally for who they are. If you see a behavior that you don't agree, separate that. Oh, it was Eve. Yes, separating identity from action. Eve said that. That's so true. Yeah.
Awesome. This was powerful. Doc, I have people who are watching and they want to connect with you. They hear you're in Texas too. They know if they're in your neck of woods, they would love to send patients to you or come see, bring their kids to you. Doc, where can people find you?
Yes, so they can find me on my website. It's Sugarlandpediatrics, tx.com. You can send a text message even on my website, and you can find me on social medias as my full name, Sanait Adebo, on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm not very active on TikTok. I just started recently. And Twitter too, not too active, but just Facebook, Instagram, find me, Sanait Adebo. And if you do text on our website or DM me, I will send you an ebook on parenting, how to create, resilient, raise resilient and strong children, and how to create peace in the family. Before I leave, I want to share this one thing. As parents, we may be focused on our kids, right? But it's very, very important also that we have a very strong relationship and a strong marriage too, right? The best gift you can give your children is a strong marriage. And so all the moms, dads that are listening, nurture your relationship, right, with your spouse. It's especially in the life we live in, we are all busy, we're taken away so much, but intentionally spend time with your spouse, right? Date nights, maybe it's every 2 weeks or every week if you can, but even like on a daily basis, even if it's 5 minutes, make effort to connect. I think connection is very important with our spouse, and a strong and healthy marriage is the best gift you can give your children. Even with our children too, connection. But social media, lots of things take away our attention and our connection from our children, but be intentional about that.
I love you, Dr. Adebo. That was powerful.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Tolu, I love you too. You are such an inspiration for all of us. And thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. And thank you all for watching. Dr. Una, thank you for stopping by. Dr. Mitra, Dr. Eve, I appreciate you. Dr. Adebo, we're going to do this again. I'm going to send you a link after this so we can schedule for some time, maybe in April of next year. This is a conversation that needs to be had over and over again. It's empowering. It's encouraging. I'm glad that the glitching stop was from doing this, but give me a high five. Doc, give me a high five. Just.
Tolu, I love your energy. Thank you so much.
We're going to do this again. But thank you all for watching.
We'll do it again. Next time will be very smooth. I promise you guys.
I take full responsibility. That was not your fault. It was me. So this was good. So I appreciate you staying it through. Thank you to all our viewers for watching. As always, if you or anyone you know is looking for a thorough and compassionate family physician in the Massfield, Texas area, I am she. And if you're looking for an awesome pediatrician in the Sugarland area, she's a good, she right there. Okay, yeah, right there. All right, all have a good one. Happy Saturday, and I'll see you in 2025 by the grace of God.
Thank you.
Was good. This was good.